beautiful website. They're free templates for every single financial model that you can think of, DCFs, LBOs, cash flow models. What's up guys? A lot of you have reached out to me in the recent past asking me, sir, what technical skills do you need to break into investment banking? So here I am with another video talking about exactly what you asked me. एक चीज बोलना पड़ेगा यार, please do not call me sir. I'm only 27 years old. आप sir बुला के मुझे बूढ़ा feel कराते हो. So please don't call me sir. Address me as Anubhav. In addition to talking about what technical skills you need, I'm also going to be pointing you to some resources or free resources that exist that you can exploit or tap into to actually hone those technical skills. The only thing that I ask in return is that you subscribe to my channel, which I'm pretty sure you've done already. Or have you? Because 68% of you watching my videos haven't subscribed to my channel as yet, so what the hell are you waiting for? A couple of points to clarify before I kick things off in the video. I'm going to be talking about skills or technical skills that you need to break into front office, client-facing, revenue-generating investment banking roles. The other point that I want to clarify is that these are skills that you need to break into investment banking, which is the private side of the business. There's a different skill set that you need to break into sales and trading roles. And in case you want me to do a separate video on technical skills needed for sales and trading, then please let me know in the comment section. In addition to technical skills, there are lots of soft skills that you need as well to break into investment banking. In fact, according to me, soft skills are probably more important in the investment banking profession than technical skills. And the reason I say that is because if you think about the investment banking profession, right, when you're serving clients, fundamentally, the investment banking trade boils down to a relationship business. Look, a client doesn't choose Goldman Sachs as an advisor as opposed to choosing, say, a JP Morgan or a Morgan Stanley because Goldman Sachs builds better models. That's not the case. The client will pick Goldman Sachs only because the client has a better relationship with Goldman Sachs or with a particular partner at Goldman Sachs. And I'll be talking about what soft skills you need as well as how you can hone the soft skills that I'll be talking about in my next video. So stay tuned on my channel and subscribe if you haven't already done so. So the first thing that I want to talk about is that everyone, regardless of whether you're getting into investment banking or sales and trading or private wealth management, you should understand the basic fundamentals or the basic concepts of finance as well as how the financial markets work. If you're someone who studied finance in college, then this should not be a problem for you. But if you're someone who doesn't belong to a finance background, has no real finance theoretical knowledge, then what I would suggest is start reading the newspaper and start reading newspapers like the Economic Times, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, Financial Times. What I would say is you don't necessarily have to read everything, right? Read what you love until you love to read. So, skim through the entire paper. If there's any headline that really grabs your eye, really grabs your attention, then read through that. And what I would say is, while you're reading these different resources, you should also be using something called investopedia.com in tandem. Investopedia is basically a finance encyclopedia. So whenever you're reading these newspapers that I talked about, if you come across a certain word or phrase that is a very common word in the finance parlance, but you don't know the meaning of that word or phrase, then look it up on Investopedia. The explanations on Investopedia are so thorough, so comprehensive, so extensive. Like even a dummy, it's literally finance for dummies. That's how I would describe Investopedia. Investopedia also comes with lots of video tutorials. So in addition to the text explanation, the video serves as supplemental information, which again helps in cementing your understanding of the concept that you've looked up. Another resource pertaining to this point that I would like to point you towards is an online course called Financial Markets that's offered by Yale University on Coursera, and it's taught by a professor named Robert J. Schiller. I personally haven't taken the course, but a lot of my friends have taken the course and I've heard nothing but exceptional feedback from the friends of mine who've taken this course. If you already have advanced level finance knowledge, then I would say you should not be taking this course. But if you're a complete beginner, if you have limited to no understanding of how the financial markets work, then this course is tailor-made for you. Another reason I strongly suggest knowing your basic concepts of finance really well, knowing the fundamentals of finance really well, is because oftentimes you might not be aware of everything that exists within this broad field of finance. You might feel as if, investment banking is exactly what I want to be doing. But when you actually get exposed to other things that are out there within the broad field of finance, you might change your mind. You might feel as if, I thought that investment banking was my cup of tea, but now that I've learned about this that exists within finance or that exists within finance, I feel that, I think sales and trading might be a better fit for me, or private wealth management might be a better fit for me. And so that's why starting out, I highly recommend that you understand everything that exists within the entire landscape and then assess for yourself what is it within that landscape that aligns most with your set of skills, strengths, and interests. So point number 2 is the skill that everyone claims to have, but I feel very few people are actual masters at it, which is Microsoft Office. And within Microsoft Office, the two programs that are most important when you're trying to break into investment banking or when you're working as an investment banking analyst are Microsoft Excel and Microsoft PowerPoint. And I'll tell you what is it that separates the men from the boys and the women from the girls when it comes to Microsoft Excel. What is it that masters do that amateurs don't? Masters never, absolutely never use a mouse when they're using Microsoft Excel, as hard as that may be for you to believe. Some of the best, the veteran investment bankers, a lot of associates, like some really good associates at Goldman Sachs, never touched their mouse while they were using Microsoft Excel because they were so well versed with every single keyboard shortcut while using Excel. So what I would suggest is when you're using Microsoft Excel, could be at an internship, could be at home when you're practicing, right? Try limiting the use of the mouse. What you could do is you could actually press the Alt key while you're in Microsoft Excel whenever you're looking for a shortcut that you don't quite know, and the Alt key will then display all the shortcuts that you have available. And so slowly but surely become more comfortable using Excel simply using your keyboard as opposed to using the mouse as well. Of course, this doesn't happen overnight. It takes weeks, months, years of practice, but start now, plant the seed now, and then keep watering it every single day. That's how you'll see your plant blossom. That's how you'll see your plant grow. Of course, there are lots of these online tutorials, free online courses on Excel that are available, but I honestly feel that you should learn on the go. And when I say on the go, you should actually get into the weeds. You should open up Microsoft Excel, experiment with it, play around with it, look up shortcuts online on Google, look up these mini clips, 4 or 5 minute tutorials that are available on YouTube whenever you have a doubt, as opposed to actually sitting and watching like an 8-hour or a 10-hour recording of an online course of someone teaching you Microsoft Excel, because I personally would find that really dull, really drab, and I can't really learn something by simply watching someone teach me something. I actually have to get into the weeds only because I'm slightly restless, and I feel that's a better way for you to understand. So get your hands dirty and learn by doing as opposed to learning by watching. Some of the best practices that I talked about when it comes to using Microsoft Excel apply to the use of Microsoft PowerPoint as well. It's fairly easy to do basic editing in PowerPoint, but PowerPoint formatting isn't very easy. So take a look at everything that you can do when it comes to formatting in PowerPoint. Oftentimes as a banker, you're working on tight deadlines and you don't have too much time on hand. So look at PowerPoint shortcuts and look at everything that you can do when it comes to formatting in PowerPoint. Point number 3 talks about modeling and valuation. Yes, this is where things get a bit tricky, but they also get a bit more intellectually stimulating. This is the more intellectually stimulating part of the job. So the faster that you can actually prove to some of the senior bankers, to some of the associates that look, you are actually well versed with modeling as well as valuation, the more modeling and valuation work they will be delegating to you, and the less boring, dull, drab PowerPoint work they'll be delegating to you. You should first learn the theoretical concepts of modeling and valuation. The resources that I would like to suggest for you to learn the theoretical aspects are number 1, the 400 investment banking question and answers guide. So within this guide, make sure that you go through the modeling as well as valuation sections, go through the basic level questions. You don't necessarily have to go through the advanced level stuff. If you're being a bit adventurous and a bit ambitious, then you go through the advanced level stuff. There's a free PDF that's available online. So if you just type on Google 400 investment banking question and answers free PDF, I believe the first link will present you the downloadable version. Another resource that you can use to facilitate your theoretical understanding of financial modeling and financial valuation is investopedia.com, the resource that I talked about. So look up what is a DCF, what is an LBO, what is the EV to EBITDA multiple, what is the PE ratio or the price to earnings ratio. After you've actually completed step number 1 and you feel confident with your understanding of the theoretical concepts, move on to step number 2, which is www.asimplemodel.com. Beautiful website. They're free templates for every single financial model that you can think of: DCFs, LBOs, cash flow models. What I would suggest is play around with these models. Be as experimentative as you would like to be. When you're within the model, right, there are lots of different moving parts and you might not understand, okay, by changing this, what happens to my model? So that's exactly what you should be doing. You should be experimenting. Okay, what if I change this input? How does my output change? What if I change this assumption? How does my final output change? And once you actually understand how the different pieces of the model connect with each other, that's when you will feel much more confident answering a lot of these questions during finance interviews. Because look, you typically won't be asked a question like, tell me how a DCF works or tell me how an LBO works. You'll be lucky if the question is as simple. Typically, what they'll ask you, especially when you're doing interviews with some of the best investment banks, where there are lots of people that are competing with you to break into investment banking analyst positions, they'll typically ask you a question like, okay, so if I change this input in my model, how does that affect my output? So that's why if you actually understand the ins and outs of how a model works, then you'll be much better equipped to answer some of these curveballs, some of these advanced level questions that you might encounter in a lot of these investment banking interviews, especially if you're interviewing with a bulge bracket investment bank. A couple of textbooks that I would like to recommend if you really want to get into the depths of valuation and modeling. Number one, Investment Valuation by Damodaran. He's a professor at NYU, maybe was a professor at NYU, I'm not sure if he's still there. And the second one is Investment Banking, co-authored by Josh Rosenbaum and Josh Pearl, both fantastic books. What I would say is use these books as reference. You don't necessarily have to read it from front to back. These are very thick and dense books. Since I suggest using them only as reference, don't feel compelled to buy these textbooks. Think of them as being optional resources, so buy them only if you want to buy them. The fourth point talks about something called a Bloomberg terminal. Now, I was really lucky in college because there was a Bloomberg terminal for students to use. But if you don't have access to a Bloomberg terminal, do not fret, do not lose sleep over this, because again, it's optional. It's a nice to know skill as opposed to a must know skill. Plus, it's more important for people looking to break into sales and trading. It's not as extensively used in investment banking, but it is used every now and then. So if you have access to a Bloomberg terminal, if your school offers one, then definitely get your hands dirty with the terminal, learn about some of the most commonly used functions in the terminal. But if you don't have access to it, then not a problem at all. I spoke about technical skills very extensively. I spoke about the importance of soft skills. It would be a big offense and a big disservice on my part if I don't point you to that one resource that's a one-stop shop which covers the A to Z, the A to Z of breaking into investment banking, which is my ebook, The Art of Breaking into Investment Banking. It has everything that you need to be knowing in terms of what technical prep you need to do, everything that you need to be knowing in terms of what soft skills you should be honing, as well as how you should go about honing them. So I would highly recommend that you check out that book if you're someone who's very serious about breaking into investment banking. Before I conclude, I just want to mention one thing, that look, a lot of the learning, right, a lot of the technical skills that you'll be learning will be on the job. So you don't necessarily have to feel that, I have to be an expert in everything that I talked about before going into the job. It's good to have these skills at least at a somewhat beginner level or a intermediate level. And the reason I say that is because, look, when you're in investment banking, right, you barely have any time. You're working 80, 90, 100-hour weeks. There's a lot of work that's delegated to you, especially when you're coming in as a first-year analyst or a second-year analyst, right? So along with all of that work, right, if you have to now teach yourself Excel, PowerPoint, the basics of modeling, the basics of valuation on the side, then your life as an investment banker will be absolutely fucking miserable. So that's why what I would say is prepare in advance, right? Plan ahead such that when you're actually on the job, you can focus on whatever's delegated to you as opposed to having to spend whatever little free time that you actually end up getting trying to teach yourself Excel, modeling, valuation, PowerPoint, and so on and so forth. So hopefully आप लोगों को ये वीडियो एकदम कड़क लगा, एकदम झकास लगा. If so, then please give it a like. Please subscribe to my channel and tell me what kind of content you want to watch. I'll tell you what I have planned. I want to be talking about some of the technical skills that you need for sales and trading. I want to talk about soft skills that you need for investment banking as well as for sales and trading. I want to talk about some of the best books, the best non-fiction books related to finance as well as investment banking that I read. I also want to be doing some videos explaining certain technical concepts, some common technical concepts like what is a DCF, what is an LBO. But tell me what else you have in mind. आपके जो भी suggestions है, please मुझे लिखिए. In fact, one of the reasons I'm doing this video is because a lot of you reached out to me asking me, Anubhav sir, please can you talk to us about some of the technical skills that you need to break into investment banking. So please let me know whatever your demands are, and as I always do, I will make sure to meet and address every single demand of yours. Thank you so much for having watched this video from start to finish. Like करना मत भूलना, subscribe करना मत भूलना. Until next time, stay safe. Cheers.